The stars shimmered faintly in the vast expanse of space, their light barely piercing the darkness that enveloped the Andromeda Galaxy. It was a place of wonder, of mystery, and now of war. The year was 2247, and humanity had finally reached beyond the Milky Way, driven by an insatiable curiosity and the need to expand. But what they found was not the empty void they had expected. Andromeda was already inhabited. The first contact had been peaceful, or so it seemed. The Zorathians, an advanced alien species with shimmering, iridescent skin and elongated limbs, had welcomed the human explorers with cautious curiosity. Their technology was far superior, their cities sprawling across entire planets, connected by shimmering energy bridges that defied human understanding. For a time there was hope that two species could coexist, share knowledge, and build a future together. But hope is a fragile thing. It began with a misunderstanding. A human research vessel, the Eclipse, had ventured too close to a Zorathian sacred site, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with an otherworldly light. The Zorathians had warned the humans to stay away, but the Eclipse's captain, driven by scientific curiosity, had ignored the warnings. When the ship crossed the invisible boundary, the Zorathians reacted with swift and deadly force. The Eclipse was obliterated in an instant, its crew lost to the void. The incident sparked outrage among the human colonies in Andromeda. The United Earth Federation, UEF, demanded an explanation, but the Zorathians remained silent, their leaders retreating behind a wall of cold indifference. Tensions escalated, and soon, skirmishes broke out along the border between human and Zorathian territories. What had begun as a misunderstanding quickly spiraled into all-out war. The battle for Andromeda had begun. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the UEF flagship, the Aegis, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. The massive viewport before her displayed the swirling colors of a nebula, its beauty a stark contrast to the grim reality of their mission. The Aegis was leading a fleet of 50 ships, each one bristling with advanced weaponry and manned by the best soldiers humanity had to offer. Their objective was clear: retake the colony of New Horizon, a human settlement that had fallen to the Zorathians just weeks earlier. "Status report," Elena barked, her voice steady despite the knot of anxiety in her chest. "All ships reporting in, Commander," replied Lieutenant Marcus Cole, her second in command. "We're approaching the outskirts of New Horizons system. No sign of Zorathian forces yet." Elena nodded, her sharp green eyes scanning the data on her console. The Zorathians were cunning opponents, their tactics unpredictable and their technology far beyond anything humanity had ever faced. But Elena had spent years studying them, learning their weaknesses, and she was determined to turn the tide of the war. "Tell the fleet to go to battle stations," she ordered, "and prepare the ground teams. We're not just taking back New Horizon, we're sending a message." The bridge buzzed with activity as the crew carried out her orders. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She had lost friends in this war, good men and women who had given their lives for the cause. She couldn't afford to fail them now. The first sign of the Zorathians came in the form of a blinding flash of light. One moment, space was empty. The next, a fleet of sleek, silver ships materialized out of nowhere, their hulls shimmering with an eerie glow. The Zorathians had arrived. "Enemy ships detected," shouted Lieutenant Cole. "They're closing fast." Elena's heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "All ships, prepare for engagement. Focus fire on their lead vessel. Let's see how they handle a coordinated attack." The battle erupted in a storm of light and sound. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, slamming into shields and tearing through hulls. The Aegis shuddered as a Zorathian plasma bolt struck its port side, but the shields held. Elena gripped the edge of her console, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Their shields are stronger than we anticipated," Cole reported, his voice tense. "We're not making a dent." Elena clenched her jaw. "Switch to kinetic rounds. Target their engines. If we can't break their shields, we'll cripple their mobility." The fleet adjusted its strategy, launching a barrage of high-velocity projectiles at the Zorathian ships. The tactic worked. Several of the enemy vessels began to drift, their engines disabled. But the Zorathians were quick to adapt. Their ships shifted formation, creating a defensive barrier that absorbed the incoming fire. "They're too good," Cole muttered. "We can't keep this up." Elena's mind raced. She knew they couldn't win a straight fight, not against an enemy with superior technology. They needed an edge, something the Zorathians wouldn't expect. "Prepare the Aegis for a ramming maneuver," she said suddenly. Cole's eyes widened. "Commander, that's suicide." "It's our only chance," Elena replied, her voice firm. "If we can take out their command ship, the rest of the fleet will falter. Trust me." Cole hesitated, then nodded. "Aye, Commander." Setting course, the Aegis surged forward, its engines roaring as it hurtled toward the Zorathian command ship. The enemy vessels tried to intercept, but the human fleet covered their advance, sacrificing themselves to clear a path. Elena watched as the distance between the two ships dwindled, her heart pounding in her chest. "Brace for impact," she shouted. The collision was deafening, a cacophony of tearing metal and shattering glass. The Aegis plowed into the Zorathian ship, its hull buckling under the force. Alarms blared, and the bridge was thrown into chaos. Elena was flung to the floor, her head slamming against the console. Pain shot through her skull, but she forced herself to her feet. "Report!" she demanded, her vision swimming. "The Zorathian command ship is crippled," Cole said, his voice strained. "But the Aegis, she's not going to make it." Elena's heart sank. The Aegis had been her home for years, a symbol of humanity's resilience. But they had accomplished their mission. The Zorathian fleet was in disarray, their command structure shattered. "Evacuate the ship," she ordered. "Get everyone to the escape pods." "What about you?" Cole asked. Elena shook her head. "I'm staying. Someone needs to make sure the job is done." Cole hesitated, then saluted. "It's been an honor, Commander." Elena returned the salute, a faint smile on her lips. "The honor was mine." As the crew evacuated, Elena made her way to the engine room. The Aegis was dying, but she could still give it one last purpose. She activated the self-destruct sequence, setting the timer for 5 minutes. That would be enough time for the escape pods to clear the blast radius. The ship groaned around her, its systems failing one by one. Elena leaned against the wall, her breathing labored. She thought of all the lives lost in this war, all the sacrifices made. She hoped it would be enough. The timer reached 0, and the Aegis exploded in a brilliant flash of light, taking the Zorathian command ship with it. The shockwave rippled through the battlefield, scattering the remaining enemy vessels. The human fleet, though battered and bruised, had won the day. But the war was far from over. In the weeks that followed, the battle for New Horizon became a turning point in the conflict. The Zorathians, once seen as invincible, had been dealt a significant blow. Humanity's determination and ingenuity had proven to be a formidable force, and the tide began to shift. Yet, as the fighting continued, a deeper truth emerged. The Zorathians were not the mindless aggressors they had been made out to be. They too had suffered losses, their own families torn apart by the war. And as the two sides clashed again and again, a fragile understanding began to form. Perhaps, in the end, there was another way. A way to coexist, to share the wonders of Andromeda without bloodshed. But for now, the battle raged on, a testament to the resilience and the folly of two species fighting for survival in the vast, unforgiving expanse of space.